In the name of the living God, who is Blessed Trinity. Amen. Well, Happy New Year. Today we begin a new church year with this first Sunday of Advent. If you follow the calendar, we are now moving in the lectionary to year C. So in year C, we will read a majority of our gospel lessons from Luke's gospel, and the daily office lectionary will change. But what a way to start Advent, to start this new church year. We're not even starting at the beginning of Luke. We're near the end, and the lesson we have today is so full of images that are pretty outrageous and dramatic. We're reading verses that are in apocalyptic language, the kind of language that is used and intended to draw out some sort of response. Advent, we know, is about waiting. We are waiting and we're preparing, or we should be hoping to wait and prepare for the coming of Jesus' birth at Christmas. And yet there's a second kind of waiting as well. It's waiting and preparing for the second coming of Jesus. One has already happened, and one is yet to happen. And so this apocalyptic language catches us kind of in this not yet period of life. And it's wild language. I mean, let your mind wander to try to get in mind what Luke is describing. It's this cosmic scene meant to feel like the earth is doing something, the world is doing something that it is not normally doing. The sun, the moon, the stars, those are all running wild. They're in different colors. It is probably meant to convey this idea that it feels as if everything is falling apart. The sky is falling. The water, the earth is under distress because the water, the seas, the oceans, waves seem to be crashing against the shore. It feels like the earth is shaking. Everything is about ready to fall apart. Everything that we know is just crumbling. And this is the scene that Luke describes for us. And if you felt like the world was falling and falling apart, it would probably be a good idea to be kind of fearful. Because your world, your home, everything is being destroyed. So people are fainting from fear. And so this is what we have today. Welcome to Advent. Let's get ready for Christmas. It feels like there ought to be, reading between the lines, one word. All of this is happening. The sky is falling. The earth is breaking apart. Many, or some Christian traditions have tried to use apocalyptic language to build kind of a roadmap for how future events are going to roll out. I don't think this is what's happening here. But in between the lines of the world is falling apart, there ought to be a word, but. All of this is happening. Life is going really bad, but. This is what Luke says. Don't lose hope. Jesus is coming. We can celebrate this, the very first coming at Christmas, his second coming. Don't lose hope. No matter what you see, what seems to be going on around you, Jesus is coming. It's the event that changed all of history. The birth of Jesus, God coming to be with us. Jesus coming again as our King. Don't lose hope. That's not to say that we are ever going to go through life and it's going to be simple or easy or without deep struggles. But Luke is encouraging us in the midst of all of that, right in the middle, Don't lose hope. Jesus is coming. If everyone else around you is fainting because of the fear, and the fear can be real, don't fear, because no matter what happens, no matter what we face, no matter what we go through, Jesus will always be there with us. Not necessarily to spare us from everything, and not to be our get out of trouble card that we can just pull out and say, I'm going to cash this one in now. But when we are up against a wall in life, or it feels like a scene where the world is just coming apart, Jesus is with us. And so a second reading between the line word. The first one is but, this one is so. Since Jesus is coming, and since Jesus is always with us, stay alert. Stay awake. Keep praying. That sounds simple enough, but I know in my own life, when I'm feeling anxious or I'm feeling myself up against a problem that I can't figure my way out, even this past week, I've realized I probably should have prayed more than I did. And praying is an activity that strikes me as a bit of a struggle sometimes, because it's hard to figure out all that happens with prayer. I'm sure many of us could attest to praying for something in life that didn't work out the way we prayed for. We prayed for a sickness to be healed, and it didn't get healed. So prayer for some can be a real struggle. One author that's been very helpful to me is a man named Philip Yancey. And Philip wrote a book, and the title is just the one word, prayer. And so he explores why pray when all of this is happening. Prayer is a struggle. Prayer is not simple or easy. And what Philip arrives at is that he prays because we're following Jesus' example. Pray because Jesus prayed. Pray. When life seems to be falling apart, pray. Stay awake, stay alert. Because we are into Advent now. And Advent is this season that dares to be countercultural. The church has never done well trying to follow society's norms. I mean, we've had Christmas stuff up probably since September, and it's always going quicker, so next year's probably going to be August. In a couple years, it might even be June or July. But Advent is a season in which we are called to slow down, even if it's for just a bit, even for just a few moments. That's still going to be more than everybody rushing past us. Now, it would feel really good and really spiritual if we could say we have this down pat. All the people that are racing and rushing by are all the people outside the walls. But I think it's in us. We rush. We think we've got to get that thing. We've got to get to that place. We pull into the parking lot, and we're going down the aisle, and our car is right here, and there's a car there, and we see one spot in the middle. And so you step on the gas to snake in before the other person. Because we have to have that parking spot. Or we think that one gift that's supposed to be the gift of all gifts, it's going to solve all of the person's problems if you just go buy it. And we have to make sure that I don't let you in front of line in front of me, because you might take that one thing that I'm after. Or we might run out, so I've got to make sure I get everything that I need. Advent is a calling for us to trust God, even when everything around us tempts us to secure ourselves, to secure our own safety, to secure our own needs or wants, to secure our own place, because I won't let anybody step in front of me. I won't let anybody have that spot, or I can't possibly imagine that maybe I actually could live without that thing. Advent dares us to be generous. Wherever we go and whoever we encounter, wherever that person comes from, the possibility is there to look that person in the face and see the face of Jesus. When we are doing all of this, then in the midst of this also, be ready to celebrate. As we're pausing, as we're praying, as we're waiting, as we're serving, be ready to celebrate because we are celebrating the birth of Jesus at Christmas. And the God that has created everything has come and lived among us, walked with us, has wept, has laughed, has experienced life. This is our God who has come to be with us. And so we celebrate not because everything is good and nice, but because the end of the story is already written. Jesus comes and we are his. Jesus keeps us. Jesus does not forget us. Jesus has us wrapped in his arms. So welcome to Advent. Pray for the coming of Emmanuel, God with us. Sing the songs that we sing every year that continue to bring us deep comfort. But then when the time has come that we actually leave this place, when we're dismissed, go, leave, go out into your life and dare to be the hands, the feet, and the face of God to someone else. Look to serve and see God in the other person and live in such a way that when that person looks at us and we live, that they might say, you know what, I think I just encountered God.